Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast. Time to hashtag everything. We talk about all the fun, crazy stories on social media. From Instagram to Facebook, Twitter to Tumblr, or probably even Friendster. Join us each week as we explore the quirky side of social media. It's the Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast.
It's simple, such a sad song. The one that we rely on to get us.
Hello and welcome to the GSMC Social Media News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Sarah, and I hope you are having a wonderful Labor Day. If you got a 3-day weekend, that's wonderful. Hope you found something to do that is exactly what you wanted to do. My weekend has consisted of good parts of being very lazy and being very productive. So I always enjoy when things balance out nicely like that. I have been traveling, which has been great. I got to go to visit my in-laws, and it rained. It was so nice. It doesn't rain in Northern California this time of year where I live, so it was very nice to go and experience some rain at a time when I don't normally get rain. But there was also then, of course, humidity, which made my hair do incredibly crazy, weird things that I'll spare you the description of, because no, it really wasn't that bad, but I just have these little baby hairs that go crazy in spring when it is humid. So that was fun. The trip itself was fun. And of course, while I was while I was vacationing, there were some crazy social media news stories. For instance, Popeyes versus Chick-Fil-A. Oh my gosh, did you weigh in on that controversy? I don't even know why it started. I know I read stories and stuff, but I don't even really know why it suddenly became a thing. But that's the thing about social media and trends, is that, suddenly things go viral and you're not entirely sure why. But I will say that I cannot weigh in on the chicken sandwich debate, because I've never eaten at Popeyes, and I have eaten at Chick-fil-A, but I'm not sure. I've probably had the chicken sandwich. I mean, it's Chick-fil-A, right? That's their whole thing, that's chicken, not hamburgers. So I'm sure I've probably eaten a chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A, but it has literally been 15 years since I have eaten at Chick-fil-A. So I could not tell you a thing about what I remember. I haven't eaten there since I lived in Texas. So that has been quite some time. I haven't lived in Texas since 2003. So a good 16 years since I have eaten at Chick-fil-A, and I've never eaten at Popeyes. I have nothing against either of them, really. I just don't eat a lot of fast food, and there wasn't a Popeyes where I lived until recently. Anyway, I'm wondering if you weighed in on the whole chicken sandwich controversy and where you fall on it. We were watching. It made the local news in my husband's hometown, and so we were watching that in the hotel, and we were laughing that this was the news story on actual local news, and that they sent a reporter out to talk to people and then try sandwiches, and then one of the other reporters tried a sandwich and weighed in on her opinion. Social media. At any rate, let's talk about what else has been going on in social media now that I am back from vacation and into the supposedly real world. I don't know if it's really real, but we'll see. So there is a lot, of course, going on in the world. Let's start with some of the less pleasant news. Of course, Hurricane Dorian is currently trending, and that is not that's not a good thing. It is not looking good for the Bahamas. The Bahamas have been hit hard by Hurricane Dorian, so of course that is trending with the hashtag support the Bahamas. And according to CNN, there are at least 5 dead in the Bahamas as this the hurricane has just slammed into them. Of course, people are evacuating. People are watching to see where it might go next and making preparations and doing all of those things that happen this time of year when it is hurricane season. According, again, to the CNN article, Dorian left all docks destroyed and every boat sunk. That is awful. In Elbow Cay on the Abaco Islands, where Dorian had first made landfall as a Category 5 hurricane on Sunday night, 30% of the structures had been demolished and the other 70% were damaged to severely damaged. Most docks were destroyed and unusable, with 99% of boats sunk. Oh, it's awful. So that is why this is trending. It's trending, of course, because people are, as I said, keeping an eye on it, trying to determine where it might go next. People are evacuating ahead of it. People are concerned about safety. And with natural disasters, there's always, there's so many social media stories, some of them so depressing, so sad. There have been, I've actually seen various reports as to 5 people, 7 people killed. People are being rescued by U.S. Coast Guard. So there's the tragedy, and then there's always the human interest stories in there. People are being rescued. People are jumping in to help. This is one way when I find social media particularly heartwarming, when you can see the compassion and the love of humanity come out in stories like this. The people. I have friends on social media who are saying, if you have to evacuate, my home is open. They live in an area that is close enough to be helpful. There are stories of shelters opening up for lost or pets who can't be evacuated. So it's awful. It's always awful when storms like this hit. It is devastating to the areas that they hit, to the people whose lives are affected. But I continue to stand in awe of people who jump in to help, whether they are professionals, and so of course that's their job, but they go above and beyond, or whether they're volunteers, people who send aid, people who volunteer to then go to affected areas to help with cleanup and all of the things that come after. So, support the Bahamas. That is the hashtag that is trending. That is definitely true. Whatever, if there's anything that you feel you can do to help, there are always resources available. If you are in the path, one of the paths, there are, several projected of Dorian, I hope that you have a plan in place, that you have an evacuation plan in place. If need be, you have all of the emergency supplies, etc., etc. Just be safe, folks. And I truly hope that this does not, weather can be tricky. Weather is never predictable. So no telling where it's going to go exactly of one of, a few of those different projected courses, no telling how bad it will be in the areas that it hits. So my heart goes out to everyone who is affected, and I know that there will be an outpouring of support in the days going forward, and I will continue to follow the story, but I will also continue to follow the social media posts and stories about it. It is like, speaking of social media, there is always the meme that pops up during times like this where Mr. Rogers said his mother told him to look for the helpers. And, I've never actually double checked to see if that's truly a quote from Fred Rogers, but it sounds like Fred Rogers. And regardless of the fact, it's very good advice when things seem overwhelming, when there are tragedies occurring. Look for the helpers. Look for the people who are jumping in, who are going above and beyond, who are taking care of whatever they can take care of to make a difference. So thank you to all of the helpers, and I will continue to look for you, and thank you. We're going to go ahead and take our first break of the podcast. When we come back, more social media news. So stay tuned. You're listening to the GSMC Social Media News Podcast, and I'll be right back.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Trending news on social media that's not horribly cheerful today. First, we were talking about Hurricane Dorian before the break and the hashtag support the Bahamas. And our next story is that Kevin Hart has apparently sustained major back injuries after a car crash in Calabasas, California. So this story is from yesterday, and it says that Kevin Hart and two others were involved in a single vehicle car crash early yesterday morning, Sunday morning, in Calabasas. The driver of the car, Jared Black, and Hart were both transported to nearby hospitals. According to the California Highway Patrol, the comedian and the driver both sustained major back injuries as a result of the collision. Black was driving the 1970 Plymouth Barracuda in Calabasas and lost control of the vehicle while turning onto Mulholland Highway from Cold Canyon Road. The vehicle rolled down the northern embankment, trapping two of the occupants inside the vehicle. Hart left the scene of the crash to receive immediate medical attention at his nearby home while the driver was still trapped in the driver's seat. The third occupant, Rebecca Brocksterman, did not suffer any substantial injuries, only the complaint of pain. Hart was eventually transported and treated at Northridge Hospital and Medical Center, and Black to Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center. The driver was not determined to be under the influence of alcohol at the time of the crash. A spokesman for Hart did not immediately respond to requests for comment, but I'm sure that those are coming. And that was yesterday, so I did see an update saying that Kevin Hart was doing well after surgery, but of course we will have to continue to wait and see and monitor this story to see how he is, how he's recovering. That just makes me, very concerned. Back injuries can be extremely dangerous, and so hopefully he and the occupant, Jared Black, are doing well and recovering, and nothing too major or serious is happening. In other news, an update. Speaking of updates, Ruth Bader Ginsburg says that she is on her way to being very well after cancer treatment. If your social media feeds are anything like mine, there are all kinds of Ruth Bader Ginsburg memes saying and hoping that she will live forever. I saw one the other day that said scientists believe that the first person to live to be 150 has already been born, and the comment was, I hope it's Ruth Bader Ginsburg. But the Supreme Court Justice does say that she is alive and rolling, full steam ahead, following the radiation treatments she had for pancreatic cancer. She is 86, and she spoke at the National Book Festival in Washington, D.C. on Saturday, joking, "This audience can see that I am alive." This is her fourth bout with cancer, following treatment for colon cancer in 1999. early stage pancreatic cancer in 2009 and lung surgery for cancerous growths in 2018. She told the crowd of thousands at the event who cheered and applauded her, "I am on my way to being very well." So hang in there, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. My goodness, 86 and still fighting in so many ways. I mean, she obviously fights for justice and what she believes is right, but she's fighting for her health, and I wish her nothing but the best. She is a pretty incredible woman from everything that I have read. Speaking of cancer and chemotherapy or treatment updates, Alex Trebek has completed his chemotherapy treatments and has returned to host Jeopardy, so that is good. He says he's on the mend 5 months after his stage 4 pancreatic cancer diagnosis. This is a story from August 29th stating that he did share this news on Jeopardy with fans on Thursday, saying his chemotherapy treatments have concluded and he is back to work. This is, as I said, 5 months after his diagnosis, so that is good. He says, "I've gone through a lot of chemotherapy and thankfully that is now over. I'm on the mend and that's all I can hope for right now." He released a video that the show released a video. He is 79 and he celebrated his birthday last month, and so he will be in his spot as show host for the 36th season of Jeopardy when this season gets underway. He has been, as most people know, upbeat throughout the process. He has been updating whenever he can, whenever he has news to update. So again, we wish him nothing but the best as he concentrates on his health and moving forward. So many people who are just working on, fighting for their health and their lives. In another update and social media post, this is less about, I guess it's not an update. I did say update, but in another story, again, involving chemotherapy, but this time in a feel-good kind of story, although those last two were good news, so they were not depressing stories. But the Jonas Brothers apparently surprised a fan who was undergoing chemotherapy by visiting her in the hospital. She had been planning on going to a recent Jonas Brothers concert, but she couldn't make it because of her chemotherapy treatments. And so she got a pretty cool surprise, I would say. Lily Jordan had been, as I said, planning on going to the Jonas Brothers concert in Hershey, Pennsylvania, but she couldn't because of those chemotherapy treatments. So she wrote a note to the band on Instagram explaining her situation. She wrote, "A gal can dream. P.S. The amount and love and support I started feeling as soon as I posted this on my story made my heart so full and warm. It's all because of you guys. So thanks, because y'all are the best ever." There is a picture of the Jonas. In the picture, there's a little inset of the Jonas Brothers. There is a picture of Lily rocking the bald look. She actually, she is rocking it, showing her hospital bracelet amongst other bracelets that she is wearing. At Jonas Brothers, "I was supposed to be at your Hershey concert tomorrow, but instead I am across the street doing chemo. If y'all wanted to pop in, I'll give you my room number." So, her post went viral, and the next day her wish did come true. Kevin, Joe, and Nick Jonas stopped by her room at the Penn State Children's Hospital to hang out with her and take some photos. And the smile on her face as they are in her hospital room is pretty radiant. She looks very, very happy. Joe Jonas said in a video, "We saw your message and we had to come over." The group asked if they could dedicate a song to her at their concert that night, and Jordan picked SOS, a single from their second studio album. She also gave a handmade bracelet to Joe Jonas and asked him to pass it along to his wife, who is, of course, Game of Thrones star Sophie Turner. That is very sweet. She's clearly a fan of not just the Jonas Brothers, but their whole family. She chatted and posed for photos, and then after their visit, she thanked her friends on social media for making it happen, as I read in the post before. She said, "Wow, the power of social media, you guys. You did this. You made my crappy chemo session into something incredibly special and unforgettable. Thank you, thank you, thank you at Jonas Brothers for taking time out of your day to come pay me a visit. Literally made my life." And did I mention that I really like the feel-good stories on social media when things are, when there's care and compassion and love shown? That just makes me happy. So I like to share those with you because they do make me happy, and I hope that they brighten your day a little bit too. Let's go ahead and take our second break of the podcast, and when we come back, we'll have the conclusion of this episode. So stay tuned. You're listening to the GSMC Social Media News Podcast, and I'll be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the GSMC Social Media News Podcast. We have been talking, of course, about social media news and what's trending. Let's cover a couple of sadder stories before we finish up with something a little more lighthearted before the conclusion of this episode. Our first story is that actress Valerie Harper has died at the age of 80. She was a 4-time Emmy winner who played TV's Rhoda Morgenstern. If you aren't familiar with her, she was Rhoda Morgenstern on the Mary Tyler Moore Show, a very popular TV show. And she was in, that's not the only thing she did, but maybe that's what she is best known for. That was in the 70s. Her longtime family friend, Dan Watt, confirmed Harper died Friday. She had been battling cancer for years, and her husband said recently he had been advised to put her on hospice care. Her daughter and husband tweeted, "My dad has asked me to pass on this message. My beautiful, caring wife of nearly 40 years has passed away at 10:06 a.m. after years of fighting cancer. She will never be forgotten. Rest in peace, Mia Valeria." Anthony. Ed Asner, Harper's co-star on the Mary Tyler Moore Show, also tweeted his condolences. "A beautiful woman, a wonderful actress, a great friend, and with balls bigger than mine. Her brilliance burst through and shined its light upon all of us. Good night, beautiful. I'll see you soon." So as I said, she was 80. She won 3 consecutive Emmys, 1971 to 1973, as supporting actress on the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and another for outstanding lead actress for Rhoda, which then ran from 1974 to 1978. She was immortalized and typecast for playing one of television's most beloved characters, a best friend, the equal of Ethel Mertz and Ed Norton in TV's sidekick pantheon. That is what she is known for most, but she did continue to act in recent years. Her appearances included American Dad, The Simpsons, and Two Broke Girls, so she did continue acting throughout most of her life. In other news of recent passing, the TV host and, quote, fastest woman on four wheels, Jessi Combs, was recently killed in a car crash. She was 39. She was the Extreme 4x4 co-host, and she was trying to break her own land speed record. The family of Jessi Combs and the racing community now are mourning this loss after she died at 39 in a car crash last Tuesday. She was in a jet-powered car in Oregon's Alvord Desert, attempting to break the four-wheeled women's land speed record of 398 miles per hour, which she set in 2013, and that earned her the moniker of fastest woman on four wheels. Her partner, Terry Madden, a member of her team who witnessed the crash, confirmed her death in a statement. He said it is with extreme grief and in celebration of her life that her family and close friends share that race car driver and TV personality Jessi Combs passed away in a fatal crash as she pursued setting a land speed record in the North American Eagle on August 27th, 2019, on a dry lake bed in Oregon. The details of the crash have not been released at this time. So, some sad news about celebrities who have passed. She was. One quote is that Jessi's most notable dream was to become the fastest woman on Earth, a dream she had been chasing since 2012. Combs was one of the rare dreamers with the bravery to turn those possibilities into reality, and she left this earth driving faster than any woman in history. So our hearts go out to her family and her partner. She clearly died doing what she loved, but still it is... it's hard for the people who are left behind. As I said, let's go ahead and wrap this up on a more lighthearted note than recent passings of celebrities. And that lighthearted note is about Starbucks, because Starbucks, lots of people love Starbucks. But this man has spent $150,000 trying to visit every Starbucks shop in the world. His goal is to visit every company-owned Starbucks in the world before he dies. Wow. So in 1997, when he was 47, the Houston, Texas resident decided to make it his life's mission to visit every Starbucks location in the world and enjoy a hot cup of coffee at each and every cafe. The man's name is, it says Winter. Winter, who was born Rafael Antonio Lozano Jr., but has since legally changed his name, has already visited 15,000 Starbucks shops, but he's still finding his groove. Wow. Winter is a little more than halfway there. Starbucks currently has more than 30,000 stores around the world. But on Wednesday, he hit a major milestone, visiting lucky store number 15,000, which was a Starbucks in Lima, Peru. When that location opened in 2003, it was the first Starbucks to open in South America. Today, 16 years later, there are over 1,000 on that continent. He posted on Twitter, "My first Starbucks in Peru, my 55th Starbucking country, and my 14,984th store overall. So close to 15,000. I am in awe of this man. I mean, I'm not sure that this is what I want to spend my money and time on, but the traveling is amazing. Again, I don't know if I want to spend my money just to specifically visit Starbucks, but the travel has to be amazing. And just following his journey, I'm sure people are following to see where he's going next. Wow. I know I already said that, but wow. Let's see. He says that so far, the Dazaifu Tenmangu Sando, located in Fukuoka, Japan, is his favorite. When it comes to his favorites, Winter says he considers the design and physical attributes of each store. So he wrote, the architecture is amazing. This is about his favorite. The wooden beams go all the way back. It is singularly unique. And there is a picture, and it is very cool. It does not look like your typical Starbucks. Let me rephrase that. The tables and the interior. Okay, so the room itself, the architecture of the room itself does not look like a typical Starbucks, but it definitely is your typical Starbucks. The tables and the coffee bar, etc. Those look pretty typical. So his favorite breaks with many other opinions, which have declared a Starbucks in Milan as the most beautiful in the world. Winter's next top pick is in one of his favorite cities, which is Paris. He describes the location in the City of Light as the most beautifully ornate store in the entire world. That cafe features chandeliers, stone columns, and an ornate ceiling. It looks like you're in a palace, literally, when you walk in, he said. Very cool. He is also a fan of Starbucks roastery stores, which serve freshly roasted coffee from around the world, including locations in Seattle and Manhattan. He plans to visit new roastery locations in Shanghai and Tokyo. He documents his journey on StarbucksEverywhere.net, and he's helped one of his friends coin the term Starbucking, which has since caught on. He says several others have been inspired to do the same, though none have approached anywhere close to the 15,000 stores. He even starred in his own documentary, Starbucking, which is available to watch on Amazon and eBay. Apparently, Guinness World Records has been contacted, but they don't currently track Starbucks visits. So I say this guy wins because he just seems like he does. He is a freelance computer engineer who travels to different locations for work, so he is able to travel the world without disrupting his regular life. However, he did make a slightly unconventional decision to live out of his car to help fund his travels. He said, it's been instrumental in allowing me to afford Starbucking to the extent I've pursued it over the past year, explaining that he's spent at least $150,000 on the hobby to date. That is just... wow, amazing. I mean, like I said, the traveling has to be amazing. I don't know that Starbucks would necessarily be my choice, but hey, I'm not judging because everyone, if it gets you traveling, if it gets you visiting new places, cool. And as it, he's seeing so many different architectural aspects of Starbucks around the world. So good for you, Winter. Enjoy, and I don't know if you're going to make all of them because they keep popping up everywhere. I don't know if, it might be a losing battle in terms of getting to every single one in the world. But, that is a commendable, very, very, very large goal. So on that note, we are going to wrap up this episode of the GSMC Social Media News Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. Join me again next time and we'll find out what's trending.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Social Media Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.